17.
Good afternoon, everyone, from the Ascot Racecourse here in Perth on a magnificent December day, and welcome to the running of the Channel 7 Australian Derby, worth $300,000, and it's like welcoming back Father Christmas. He turns up about the same time every year. Bill Collins. Bill, nice to have you back with us.
Thank you, Peter. It's lovely to be back here in Perth.
We saw a great horse last year win the Derby in Bounty Hawk. How do you think this field stands up?
Well, on paper, Peter, it doesn't look as good as last year's, but who knows? In 12 months' time, we might be saying what a wonderful field that went round in the Derby, because the place getters, perhaps Importune, Centuria, they might turn out to be champions.
Well, Chatty, Jim Chadwick, do you go along with Bill's sentiments?
Yes, I do, Bill. I'd like to welcome viewers right throughout Australia. Today's Channel 7 Australian Derby telecast. It's going to be a great race. But as Bill was saying, a lot of people have been saying the field is not quite as good as we've had, but let's face it, we haven't got National Gary, which is a pity. That was a tragedy. We haven't got Red Anchor, who's possibly the best youngster in Australia. But we have got Importune, and I rate Importune as the second best three-year-old in Australia. The field have won in stake money over $500,000, so they're not a bad lot of netties going around, in my opinion.
Well, the most important point is whether or not Importune will in fact stifle the betting in this race. Down in the ring is Barry Farmer with bookmaker Russell Roberts. So let's find out from Barry what's going on down there.
Well, thanks, Peter. And Russell, has in fact Importune stifled betting on the Derby?
Yes, Barry, definitely stifled betting. It's a very disappointing race as far as a betting medium goes.
Centuria, any money for her?
Nothing, Barry. She's gone from 7 to 2, 4 to 1 out to 6 to 1.
John Miller's won 6 of these races. Any money for his mount, Gypsy Blood?
Yes, the public have rallied to John Miller, who they know what a good rider he is over the mile and a half, and there has been some support for Gypsy Blood.
Centuria, Importune, rather, a good thing, Russ?
I think so, Barry. I think he's a class horse, and I think he's a lot better than these three-year-olds going around at the moment, and I think he will win the race.
Thanks very much, Russ, and back to Peter.
Thanks, Barry.
Okay, Barry, thank you very much. So we've got a 5 to 2 on favourite in Importune for the running of the Australian Derby. Earlier on today, two of the highlight races for the 2-year-old classic was the Karrakatta Plate, and the two horses to watch, Rory's Jester and Vain Marceau.
Rachel Welcome on the corner in the Karrakatta Plate, 75,000 of the judge, and Mickey Mallion sends Rory's Jester to a clear lead. Swift Dixon's rider got desperate, he went for the whip. Vain Marceau's going to run home hard, and so is Lady Surrender. It's Rory's Jester. Here's Vain Marceau putting in its claim. Vain Marceau's collared Rory's Jester, and Vain Marceau for the money in the Karrakatta.
An outstanding performance there by Vain Marceau to take out the Karrakatta Plate. Then came the preview of the Perth Cup, and this featured some of the horses that are right in line with the betting. Fizam at the moment looking like starting an odds-on favourite in the Cup. It clashed with the mare Mapley Heights.
Side into the straight and the Cock Stakes, and the one for home is Fizam. It leads 2 out from strike rate, followed by Head for Space and Interloper battling on. Mapley Heights down the outside, but it's Fizam well clear from strike rate. Interloper's running on hard. Fizam in front, a great trial for the Perth Cup. Fizam goes down to win hands and heels from strike rate or Interloper.
So all in readiness now for the running of the $300,000 Channel 7 Australian Derby. Back at Ascot in just a moment. Welcome back to Ascot as the horses are now starting to make their way to the 2,400 metre mark for the running of the $300,000 Channel 7 Australian Derby. Well, we've probably in some form put the cart before the horse, Jim Chadwick, in selecting a winner. Importune, a bit hard to beat.
I think the horse will be in front of the cart, Peter. I'm going to go for the odds-on favourite, number 5, Importune, to win the Derby. Number 10, Centuria, the Victorian filly, for second. And number 3, Gypsy Blood, my outsider in the race with Joe Miller aboard.
Bill Collins. Bill?
Well, I thought Importune looks a pretty good thing now. I thought Centuria would run second, and my best outsider in the race is Sir Great. And I only put Sir Great in as the best outsider because if they happen to pull up and try to dawdle, he's likely to race away 3 or 4 lengths in front and could steal it. That's the only reason I put it in.
Let's have a look, particularly for the benefit of our viewers in the eastern states who may not have seen Importune in action. Jim, and let's start with the WA Derby.
Yes, the WA Derby, probably one of the main lead-up races, and was won by the ill-fated National Gallery. Importune a clear second. On stage, he ran third. Gypsy Blood fourth, and most of the other candidates were engaged. Here are the closing stages. Into the stretch, it's Importune and National Gallery. National Gallery went to the leader. Importune boxing back on the inside. National Gallery, Importune. National Gallery going the better at the moment. Mickey Mallion's given it a hit with a weapon. It's going on to score a great win. National Gallery goes down to win the Western Australian Derby. Second was Importune. Third on stage, just ahead of Gypsy Blood. Yes, well, that was a great win by National Gallery, of course. Importune a gallant second and a long way back to the rest of them. And another race we have for you is the Millionaire Sires. And this stamped Importune as a worthy Derby favourite, and here it is. On the home corner in the Millionaire Sires Stakes, and Mapley Heights will head for home in front. Importune on the outside. Now Kemp pops at the big question. There followed 2.5 away to Whiskey Lover, followed by Senator and Seattle Bow. Importune drove past Mapley Heights at the 200, and the 3-year-old starts to move away. Mapley Heights battling on, followed by Senator, but it's Importune, and I think he'll win the Channel 7 Australian Derby. He's won it by 2 from Mapley Heights, about 6 away to Senator, there followed by... Yes, that was a top win by Importune from Mapley Heights. Another race, the Budget Stakes, saw Gypsy Blood ridden by John Miller, wearing black with a light blue sash and cap, and it came into favour with a smart win from Don Ramon. On the corner in the Budget, Quality Tees on the first for Homer. Perky Bow's running on harder. They're followed by Gypsy Frolic. Eureka Stockade can't win. And Don Ramon's running on pretty solidly. Tees on in front. Gypsy Frolic and Perky Bow. And Don Ramon and Gypsy Blood. Miller got through the eye of a needle. Gypsy Blood got to the lead. What a ride. Gypsy Blood from Don Ramon and Gypsy Frolic. Perky Bow next in with Tees.
Well, we haven't seen so far, Jim, anything to make you change your mind about Importune.
Not really. I think your Importune's outstanding, Peter.
Well, the horses now making their way to the 2,400 metre mark, where they'll go into the barrier for the running of the $300,000 Channel 7 Australian Derby. Back to profile the horses in just a moment.
Where do you find cut-price quality talent?
Welcome back to Ascot. Number 1, Admiral Boy, to be ridden, Jim, by Greg Hall.
Yes, well, Admiral Boy's Victorian country form, not too bad, but Bill, I think it'll be flat out winning this.
Best part about him's Greg Hall.
Don Ramon, Bill, in this race, a good second to Gypsy Blood last start. Didn't have much luck in the WA Derby when it ran 6th, and it's not the worst horse in the field.
No, he looked well on his way to the barrier, Jimmy.
Trained by Rod Turvey and Mark Sestich, a very good rider. Drawn nicely too. Okay, we've got Gypsy Blood, and this has got the master in the saddle, J.J. Miller. It ran on well to win over 2,200 last Saturday. Beautifully ridden by Miller on that occasion, and there's no doubt about it, Bill. J. Miller is a big asset in big races.
Well, there's no doubt about that, Jimmy. The Australian Derby's been run 12 times and he's won 6, so he's got a 50% record. It's remarkable, and he'll give Gypsy Blood every chance. There's no doubt of that. Number 4 in the race is Gypsy Frolic.
Yes, Gypsy Frolic finished fast to win over 1,800 2 starts ago. I'll give it a place chance, Bill, but I think it just may lack that little bit of class for this field with Importune.
Well, there's Gypsy Frolic in the blue and white quarters, and of course the odds-on favourite for the race, Jimmy, is Importune.
Yes, well, what more can I say about Importune? A Class 3-year-old who's amassed 231,400 in stake money, has won 6 out of his last 7 starts, and is definitely the one to beat. Earlier in the week, our commentator spoke to Rod Kemp and asked him what goes through his mind before a big race. And Rodney, of course, no better rider in the place than Rodney. Bustling Rodney Kemp, we call him. And there's no doubt about Rodney Kemp. In big races, he can get the best out of them, and he's got some good rides in the big races, Eastern Temple and the Railway and 5M and the Perth Cup.
Here's what he had to say, Jim.
Luck runs your way in running, and you get a good clear run, and the races run at the right pace, and the best horse will win. You're hoping you're on the best horse and it wins.
An interesting comment there, Bill, about if the race is run at the right pace. What sort of tactics do you envisage today?
Well, I don't think anything will really want to lead, and I'm sure that Sir Great will take the lead. If they're dawdling, he'll take it up the straight the first time. If not, he'll, if it's a fair pace, he'll drop in behind the leader. The next one we're going to look at, Jim, is On Stage.
Yes, On Stage, ran third in the WA Derby, Bill, and won the Pinjarra Guineas over 2,000 metres 2 starts ago. And, of course, trained by Tommy Smith, who certainly knows how to win derbies. And the field now moving in.
And the field coming into the stalls now for the running of the Channel 7 Australian Derby. 2,400 metre start. Don Remon has gone into stall 1. Out a little wider in 3 is Importune, the hot favourite. Gypsy Frolic follows it in. Gypsy Blood now moving into 2. Tees On is ready. On Stage, Admiral Boy. Perky Bow. Centauria. The last one to come up will be Sir Great. Sir Great comes in. They're all set for the Channel 7 Australian Derby. 9-4 on favourite in the race.
We're all in now, riders.
Is Importune. Lights on. Racing. Caught them in a beautiful line. Sir Great was possibly the best out, and Clements is angling to get across to the inside, and Sir Great's going to take up the running in the early stages. Settle down about 3 lengths in front here from Importune, who's easing now to allow On Stage to go up second, and also Tees On. Importune fourth, 1 off the fence, and Gypsy Frolic 3 deep. They're followed by Don Ream on the fence. 1.5 to Centauria, pulling very hard, throwing ahead everywhere. Then came Gypsy Blood, Perky Bow, and Admiral Boy last out of the straight. 18.50 to go, and Sir Great in front by 2 lengths now to On Stage. 1.5 Gypsy Frolic, 1 to Tees On. Fifth, 1 out from the rails is Importune, and then came on the rails Don Remon, 1.5 to Centauria. Now it's following the favourite, and then 1.5 further back Gypsy Blood. They're followed by Perky Bow, and Admiral Boy whipped them in. 1,600 out in an evenly paced race, and the leader Sir Great about 2.5 lengths in front here. Second is On Stage, and then a couple of lengths further back is Tees On the inside of Gypsy Frolic. Then 2 lengths to Importune, 1/2 to Don Remon, 1.5 to Centauria. On its inside Gypsy Blood, and they were followed by Perky Bow and last Admiral Boy. About 12 lengths covered the field. Heading to the 1,200. Sir Great in front, about 2.5 lengths On Stage, 2 lengths to Tees On, 1.5 lengths Gypsy Frolic, 1/2 Don Remon, 1 length to Importune, 1 to Gypsy Blood, followed by Centauria, settling better now, and Admiral Boy and Perky Bow the last 2. By the 900 up the riverside, Sir Great by 2 lengths to On Stage, 1 length away Tees On, getting closer from Gypsy Frolic, 1 away then Don Remon, 1.5 lengths Importune. He's getting anxious on this, the rider. They were followed 1 length further back then by Gypsy Blood to the outside of Admiral Boy. Centauria now 3 deep, and last Perky Bow. With about 700 to go, Sir Great in front, 1 length to Tees On second from On Stage. Gypsy Frolic making ground from Dom Remon. Then 1/2 length away is Importune, 1 length to Gypsy Blood, and Centauria making their runs 3 and 4 deep on the corner. They're packing right up at the 400. Sir Great 1 length in front of Tees On. Gypsy Frolic, Importune out 4 deep now, making its run. It slipped away from Gypsy Blood, the favourite. Sir Great led into the straight, but now Importune comes at it from Tees On and Gypsy Frolic, Gypsy Blood. Importune, the odds-on-ers, hit the front from Sir Great at the 200. The derby's over. Gypsy Blood and Tees On are running on fairly well, and Perky Bow with a late run, but Importune's going to win by about 3 lengths to Sir Great. Gypsy Blood has run third, fourth placing Perky Bow. They were followed by Tees On, Gypsy Frolic. Behind them, Admiral Boy, Don Remon. Well back second last is On Stage. Centauria's run absolute last, and the odds-on favourite in the Channel 7 Australian Derby, Importune, has bolted in as we pause for this commercial break.
Great win by Importune in this year's Channel 7 Australian Derby. And there's Rodney Kemp bringing it back to scale. A very happy jockey, a great horse. And let's have a look at the replay of the closing stages.
Here they are on the corner, and there's Kemp taking Gypsy Blood, the favourite. He's confident now, although he hadn't been travelling well. Sir Great, who'd been rated beautifully by Brendan Clements in front, fighting on well, but now Importune goes right past him. Sir Great battling on well. This is a pretty classy 3-year-old, this fellow. There's Importune going away. Perky Bow out wide made a cheeky run, looked like getting a place for a while, but Gypsy Blood in the centre fights him off and tees on, struggles on the inside as they go to the line for an easy win there. Jim, perhaps as he comes back to scale, what about letting us have a look at the low angle of the race, the Channel 7 Australian Derby?
Yes, this is where Importune's popped the big question by Rodney Kemp, and look at it come back with a real big answer, 3 out from the rail. So Great on the fence, fighting on hard. Perky Bow coming down the outside in the brown cap, and there's Gypsy Blood, John Miller, with the light blue cap coming into the picture with a good run, but it's all Importune. Too good on the steel. A great win in the Derby.
And here we have another look at it coming away. You can see Kemp giving it 1 or 2 with the whip, as he's entitled to keep its mind on the job, and drawing away from Sir Great. And of course this is a training double to Ted Hickling in the Australian Derby, having won it before with Sanitate.
Yes, a great trainer, Ted Hickling. Bill, he's won the Railway Stakes as Sanitate, won the WA Derby with Regimental Honour, a runner-up in the Australian Derby with Regimental Honour, Sanitate winning the Australian Derby and taking it out again today with Importune, a great trainer of stayers.
Jim, what do you think's the future of Importune now? Certainly you'd have to go east.
I think so. I think he'd have to go east, Importune, and acquit himself very well. I've always said a Red Anchor is a mighty horse, but I rate Importune as the second best 3-year-old in Australia.
I wouldn't argue with you after that comfortable performance today. Now that National Gallery's out of the way, Importune looks as though he's continued to improve with his racing. And of course the big disappointment in the race was Centauria. And obviously this last-minute plan, Jim, to bring it over after it had been turned out for a week or two, it just showed in the way it went today. It fought for its head early, and then it was gone.
Yes, it must take a lot out of them when they come across like that. It was impressive in Graduation Company, but Importune is a bit better than Graduation Company.
Sir Great was a nice run in the race, I thought, Jim. It battled on very well. And young Brendan Clements, he looks as though he'll be a permanent resident in the West. He seems to ride very well.
He's a good rider, Bill, and I was talking to Jim Surkey the other day down at Pinjarra, and Jim was telling me, don't be surprised to see Sir Great run a big race in the Derby and the Perth Cup.
Yes, well, he's I don't know about the Perth Cup, but you know, he's stuck to his guns very well today. Gypsy Blood was a nice run as the correct weight signal comes through.
Yeah, Gypsy Blood, Miller's give it every possible chance, as he always does, and it's run third. Creditable performance, but no chance for the winner.
And Perky Bow bobbed up. He looked as though he might run a place halfway up the straight. He was one of the bolters of the field. Lightly
raced horse, Bill. That was only his 7th run in the race, and it's got a bit of a future, Perky Bow. It's not quite fully matured, I don't think, yet, but it's got a lot of promise.
Jim, a marvellous training performance from Ted Hickling, who trained, of course, Sanitate to win the Australian Derby in 1982. Then it came back last year to win the Railway Stakes, and he's back with the Australian Derby now.
Well, I've been up to Ted's property at Mouchet and watched him training these horses. He gives them a lot of long, slow work, but by gee, they run their races out. Well, let's go down to Barry Farmer, who's interviewing some very happy connections after the Australian Derby.
Thanks, Gary. We're very thrilled with this one. No, we thought he was a good thing, but you know what racing's like. The best of good things can be. God knows all this.
Jimmy, Ted's having a bit of trouble. He's not speechless, obviously. We can see his mouth's moving there, but we are having a little bit of microphone trouble down there. But already been rugged, of course, is Importune. Bill, what would that do to his price?
Well, it's going to send it up a great deal now. You'd be looking round the getting up for $1 million.
There's a rumour around they have been offered $1 million, Bill.
Well, I would say after today, I'd have no doubt. Because,
that's before today.
Well, he may be looking at $1.5 million now, because he didn't just win the race today, he's won it handsomely.
How would you rate him compared to Red Anchor?
Oh, I'd rate him about 6 or 7 lengths behind Red Anchor, but Red Anchor is something again. Let's not kid ourselves. Red Anchor, if Red Anchor grows an inch or two and fills out during this spell, you could almost be whispering his name in the same class as Tulloch.
It's a big rap, Bill.
It is a big rap, but he's a mighty horse.
Well, just one quick comment, fellas, before we leave today. We saw running in the Cox Stakes a preview of some of the horses, the contenders in the Perth Cup. Faizan, the winner. Mapperley Heights, it finished pretty well for 4th, Bill.
Yes, it was a nice run, Mapperley Heights, but I just don't see how any of those horses can beat Faizan, because It's gone to the lead 1,100 metres from home, and it's gone to the post very well. He took a good grip on it 20 or 30 metres from home, otherwise the margin would have been about 3 to 4 lengths. I can't see them turning the tables on him in the Cup, Jim.
So it's been a big day and a great win by the hot favourite 9 to 4 on Importune, giving Ted Hickling a double in the Channel 7 Australian Derby, and the big races to come, of course, are the Railway Stakes on Saturday and the Perth Cup on Tuesday. So Saturday, December the 29th, for the running of the Railway Stakes, and Ted Hickling again has a chance to bring up a double in this carnival, and you'll be able to see that between 3:30 and 3:40 Western Summer Time. And that's the Railway Stakes, and then Tuesday, New Year's Day, is the running of the 1985 Perth Cup, and that's a telecast, a half-hour telecast commencing at 3:30. So there's a very happy Rodney Kemp, who's certainly the master jockey in Western Australia at the moment. The presentation is about to be made to Ted Hickling, a marvellous trainer, and a trainer with a lot of different techniques to some of those that we do see in action, Jim.
Yes, and Rodney Kemp, some good rides. Eastern Temple in the Railway, Fire's-Am in the Cup.
So thanks for joining us. We look forward to your company on Railway Stakes Day from Ascot here in Perth.
The Australia Games, bringing the world of sport together. Coming soon to 7 Sport.
Statistics.